That was a mess. It's still. Oh Lord. Okay, we're live. We're like 15 minutes behind what I wanted to be behind, but hey, we're here, I guess. My Lord. Yeah, sorry for being late, guys. Wow. Yeah, I have so many stories about what happened, about why I was late. Moral of the story: don't rush. Never rush. It's never worth it. It's never ever ever worth it to rush. Just closing some stuff out, and we can get started here. If anyone in the chat wants to let me know if I sound like hot garbage or not, as always, it would be appreciated. I am such a mess right now. I'm dropping so many stuff. I literally, like, right before we started, I almost dropped my entire microphone into my drink. Like, just verbatim, it would have dunked in there, which would be really bad. If you guys can hear me, by the way, let me know. I've not tested my soundy sound yet. I'm about to do that. What a disaster this has been, but that's the joy of doing it live. Remember when we thought there was going to be no news today? Coolio, 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 we're live. What's up, Night Owl? Thanks for hopping in the chat. So, chitty, chitty, chat, chat. We are going to start the show in just a minute. I'm just going to pimp it out really quick to, let's see, let's do Discord first. Discord boys are cool. Oh, hey, Immortal Slasher, thanks for doing that. He beat me to it. Pals. Oh, man. Confirmed. Not part of the Oziak and Pals group. I can understand, though. All right. Recording live now. Come talk SMT live. How is everyone doing today? All hype aside. Not like there's really been much else going on today. Not a lot of WWE talk. What's going on, Torin? What's going on, Soma? What's going on, Andrew? Now, Torin, I will not accept any sassafras if oh my Lord, who is this? Okay. I got like the most random message from a in-law, and I'm very lost. So yes, let's post on Facebook so we can get this out of here. Come on, internet. Yeah, today's just been insane. What's up, Kooky Chris? No, you're getting my sass a frass. So, guys, I have to ask real quick in the chat: are we more hyped for Nocturne Remaster or SMT V right now? Because I'm genuinely curious. Because right now, me personally, I'm actually a little bit of both. Like, I'm pretty much in the middle. What's going on, Brian? Facebook does not want to let me post. Facebook is like being hard mean right now. All right, let's try this one more time. Maybe we have to close it out. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Pretty even on both. Yeah, it's tough because it's not even like one better than the other. It's literally just like both are just like we're such out of left field surprises. It's really hard to say one or the other. Okay, let's let the thumbnail load. Let it posty post. Cool. We are set. We have properly pimped out the show, even though we are very late. What's going on? God, we already got 14 people. What's going on, 481? What's going on, Rec? What's going on, Zio? Thanks for the audio check, man. So yeah, just letting you guys know, as I was mentioning earlier, me being in such a rush, my entire microphone's about like this big. If it was any skinnier, it would have just dunked in like an ice cube. So yeah, don't do that. That's bad. You're gonna have a bad time. All right, we can get started. So let's get started. Make sure we're recording locally. so we can sound good for all the audio babies out there. USB-B. Okay. All right, everybody, we are just going to jump into this because I think this is going to be a long episode. Yeah, I guess that's about it. How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 180. I am your host, Spencer Presley, for what I think is like my third podcast in a row, solo. I promise I have people who still want to do this show with me. It's just been a whirlwind of doing crazy things and whatnot. But either way, if you are not aware of who we are, Shin Megami Tensei Network is a SMT and Persona-related community, but enough about Persona. This episode is all about SMT. There's like not a lick of Persona talk we're going to be doing. As many of you guys know, Nintendo had their first Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, which basically is short for the American version of this is going to be really bad, and the Japanese version is going to be a little bit better, but mainly just because there's less chibi John Cena. And in a weird twist of surprisity, we got not only a trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5, we got a trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne Remastered, which, like, blew my mind. I've talked to a lot of people, and even on this podcast, I've talked to a lot of people about how I think those PS2 games are really ripe for re-releases, but I think it's just hard under the right circumstance. And I think right now we're going to jump into Nocturne first because SMT 5 is still a lot more nebulous. So for Nocturne, if you guys aren't aware, Nocturne released 17 years ago or right around there. So it was a PS2 exclusive. It has had so many re-releases. It's kind of insane, actually, because there's the original Japanese version, the Western version, there's Lucifer's Call, there is the director's cut version that released after the PS2 version in America with Raito we never got, which this version is currently based off of. What is up Super Saiyan Rose, or Rose? I think that's what the little extra blank 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 is. Torrin, you're so right. This news is going to fuel us for like the next 5 months, and then it probably don't even have to do anything at all. That's the best part. So yeah, we don't really have that much in terms of like a showcase for it because we have a new trailer for both games that got shown off. A lot more information about Nocturne that we're going to go over right now. But if you guys have any sort of questions or comments live in the chat, please just feel free to hit me up with it because we're just going to be diving in deep, sinking our teeth into all of this. And when I mean sinking our teeth in, like it's going to get messy. It's going to be messy. It's going to be good. As I'm looking at my show notes, most important thing I haven't even mentioned is platforms. Obviously, SMT5 is a Switch exclusive still because it has that Nintendo deal going on. But even though this was shown off at a Nintendo Direct thing, Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne HD is actually coming to PS4, and that's the most amazing part. So it was announced after the Direct that in Japan, the game is coming out in October 2020 and spring 2021. And this is coming out for Switch and PS4, which I think is really, really important because while I'm sure this game being a Switch exclusive would have made a lot of sense for marketing, especially with SMT5, I think just having this on more platforms is going to be very, very beneficial. And I wouldn't be surprised after Persona 4 Golden sales that this ends up launching in the West on PC as well. There's just too many like ample opportunities to appease people, especially because there's never been a legit port of SMT Nocturne. So let's see what I want to dive into first with this, because we've got a lot of info. First up, I guess a big one for me I wanted to say is, holy crap, it has voice acting. One of my biggest jokes I've always said, especially recently, it's so funny, is that the PS2 group of SMT games and Persona titles were all based off the Mach-E X engine. This really, really rough Dreamcast exclusive that ended up having a lot of voice acting for Atlas early at the time, but never had any lip movement. Then skip ahead to Nocturne. Nocturne has lip movement, but no voice acting. So now to finally see a English and Japanese dub happening for Nocturne is really surreal. I'm I think it's too early to really comment on if the English dub is going to be good or bad, but I think just having it as an option is important for a couple of reasons. It's showing Atlas's, especially Atlas West's, commitment again to Shin Megami Tensei. Because if you guys want to think of something really depressing, by the time this comes out, we'll have gone about 5 years without getting an SMT game dubbed. So if I'm not mistaken, I think the last SMT game that we got dubbed in English was in 2016 with Apocalypse. Yeah, so we've missed out on Strange Journey Redux, which I know still stinks for a lot of people. Yeah, let's take a look at the chat real quick. Super Saiyan Rose says, did you see the special edition for Nocturne, the Gamer Nightlight? What I love about that, yeah, so in Japan we have two, well, technically Asia, we have two special editions announced. One comes with basically CD, kind of like a magazine thing, really, really cool box. But one in Japan comes with a nightlight, and another one that got announced for Korea comes with a Demi Fiend shirt, which I think both are awesome for very different reasons, but at the same time, a little less awesome when you realize probably if you're like me, you're not going to be able to fit into that shirt most likely, and that nightlight is definitely not going to be a universal plugin. Let's see. Torin, you were right. I'm going to need some napkins. AM321, what are your thoughts on Nocturne as a game? So I've not played Nocturne in probably like 15 years. I didn't play the PlayStation 3 re-release. I never imported like the director's cut or anything like that. I pretty much played it originally when it came out, maybe a couple of years after the fact, but I played it when it was around in the PS2. Really, really liked it, even though it was like, especially for dumb Spencer back then, because God, let's see, I would have been, I guess just take my age, I would have been around like 11 or 12, I think. No, yeah, like 10 or 10, 11 or 12, like in that area when I would have played Nocturne for the first time. And even though I'd played a myriad of other SMT and Persona games for it, yeah, Nocturne, I remember even at the time living up to its reputation as being very, very difficult. But no, that was such a fun game. I remember Nocturne as well, like it being a really slow build for me to get into it, but I enjoyed the overall experience, especially because how long it took me in terms of I think I did a lot of grinding. Like that game's already pretty grinding, but me at the time definitely needed more help than everything else. Torin asked, do you think Nocturne is going to be like Persona 5 Scramble where it runs better on PS4? 100%. I think this HD remaster is obviously a lot less taxing because it is a PlayStation 2 game being ported. It has up-res textures, the minor changes we know of so far. Nothing should be that drastic for it. And I think also at the same time, you know what? I might want to actually scrap it. I would not be surprised if the Switch was the base platform for this and there's no PlayStation Pro features, because Atlas is pretty much known for being a one-hit, like one system company. Like they like to target one platform and just make it for that. Very, very rarely do you see cases of like the PlayStation 4 version being substantially better. Even things with like Catherine on PS4 wasn't that better than the PlayStation 3 version. It had better textures, obviously, but it wasn't using PS4 Pro in any meaningful way. So as much as I would love to see Nocturne in 4K running at like 60 frames or even anything higher, I would not be surprised if it's pretty much a 1080p 30 frames per second port just so it can like hit that Switch standard. Kooky Chris says, now I'm 100% sure that SMT V will be showing up at TGS. So you bring up a good point, Kooky Chris. I was not expecting SMT 5 news this quickly. And I think actually this showing proves two things. One, we're definitely still not getting SMT 5 news at TGS because of the whole Nintendo collection. But now that we have Nocturne HD being announced and coming out the next month, like so TGS is in September. and Nocturne releases at the end of October. The marketing potential is already there. So Atlas has no reason to talk about SMT 5, even though that's what a majority of people are going to want to talk about. They'll just be diving in deep to Nocturne as much as they want. Like I'm sure over the next like 2 weeks, people are going to be flooded with Nocturne info, which is going to suck for all of us Western people who have to wait for spring. I'm not sure when I want to get into this, but I definitely need to like kind of have a section before we end today's episode talking about. I hope someone at Atlas Japan has a miracle opportunity to push up the release of Nocturne. I think releasing spring 2021 is fine. I think if they had made Nocturne as well simultaneous release, that would be really, really big. Let's see. Super Saiyan Rose also says, oh no, sorry, I have to go. I almost missed. The Awesome 170 says, can't wait for game journalists to complain about Nocturne being too difficult. Yeah, if you guys thought SMT4 was ripe with game journalists complaining about it, when Nocturne comes out again, you're gonna have so many people being like, it's not accessible enough. Like, I get it, it's a classic franchise, but if they want to like bring it back, like the least they could do is like put more accessibility features into it. I'll say this, Nocturne is at least putting in an easier difficulty mode, which we'll get into once I catch up on a little bit more of the chat. But Rosé says, do you think the dude who comes down from the sky is Timmy Fiend? When I saw that in the SMT5 trailer, I got Odin vibes, and I don't know why. I know the silhouette doesn't really match up, so I know it's not, but that's just because of how much they'd shown Odin previously. I'm sure it's some masked character, whether it be a Dagda-like figure or whatnot, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's some like demon we already know, or something to fill that kind of mentor bond role like we saw in Apocalypse. Rex says, it's so surreal. Woo! I'm missing a lot of chat. Chitty chat. It's so surreal to hear Demi Fiend having a voice after nearly 20 years. That is so true. Oh my god. Yeah, hearing Nocturne voice acting at all was so weird. Mirth, you did not miss too much. Timmy Tom says, what do you think of SMT5's protagonist femboy design? I like it, and I will say, I think one of the reasons that important to remember, we're also assuming that the character we saw is the protagonist. I think the androgynous, like being this androgynous of a look, is definitely on purpose. And if we go back to some of those older teaser trailers where it showed a boy and a girl in a desert surrounded by demons, I would not be surprised if whoever the protagonist's name is, there's a very easy switch where the clothes will change to a schoolgirl's outfit, but the hair is the same. Because the hair could easily be a girl or a boy, hence you mentioning the whole femboy design. Tristan Cookie says, so if Nocturne HD does well, are we getting DDS HD or Rhino HD? Honestly, that is going to be such a big case of, I would not be surprised if those games are pretty much on the back burner of, hey, we can crank these out, because this is going to be a really cheap game for Atlas to make. The most expensive thing they're doing is the voice acting. So if we support this game and are vocal about it and basically do the opposite of Catherine Full Body on Switch, it would be very, very easy for us to then say, do the duology for DDS, do the Rhino games. Like, those games getting brought up to modern platforms don't have that much up-resing to do outside of fixing some textures, and obviously the other games to have voice acting, so they're just going to be even cheaper. Zio says SMT5 will be in TGS. Yeah, again, the whole TGS thing for me goes back to always goes back to that Nintendo has always been very, let's do our own things. TGS is not their cup of tea. That's why they had Space World, and they've always kind of stayed far away. Kooky Chris says, something that gets me really hyped is that Nocturne is going to be translated into Spanish. Yes, that's a huge thing that I think barely enough people have been talking about, is that we have a lot more talk now for SMT5 and Nocturne that it's going to have multiple languages, and I know Spanish is going to be a really, really big one. Let's try to catch up. You guys are being so awesome. Torrent says, do you think if it sells well, it'll make it to PC? Yeah, it all goes back to the whole thing of, like, after Persona 4's success and Atlas being so physically, like, Oh, whoa, it's sold well? Wow, who saw that coming besides everybody? I'm like, yeah, it's like, at this point, I think PC releases aren't going to be a big deal for Japan for a while, but they're probably in the West going to be a thing of when we finally get them in the West, we'll get them on launch with that. Oh, hey, we have Ozzy in the chat. By the way, Ozzy, no offense, but I said this right before the episode started. I saw you had a reactions video for SMT V and Nocturne. It was like Ozzy and Pals reacts to it, and I was like, oh, I'm not one of the pals. Here, let's see if I can almost catch up for it. Andrew Ratliff says it's going to be 1080p 60 FPS on both systems, most definitely. You would like to assume that, but remember, Catherine still only runs at 30 frames on like everything, so Atlas is not the most technical wizardry in the whole world. Derp Lord says, shower speedrun complete. I expected an all you're back. Austin Brown says, do you think they will add anything new to Nocturne? Outside of voice acting and textures, I don't think so. And also there's the difficulty and whatnot. I hold out hope just because of the meme that Dante is somehow going to be made into it. I wouldn't be surprised, too, if like Dante is like a DLC thing or something of just like finding a way to use that model after everything. Hoping for Nocturne PC. We should have an asterisk next to that. This is Nocturne PC legally. Atlas added game journalist mode for the press, which is very, very true. I mean, that it's literally called merciful mode. Matthew North says they do all the ports. They do ports all the time. It's just happening on the 3DS at the same time. The Awesome One says, has Atlas said anything about which version of Nocturne is being used? Yeah, so this specifically is the last released version of Nocturne that included Raito. So the best way to kind of think about it is a director's cut. I think I have the exact name here. Let me pop it up. It's like, it has a weird title. And of course, if you pull that up, it's going to have all of its crazy, crazy names. I'm trying to think. If we go to, it just doesn't want to be nice to us, does it? Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this one was the Maniacs cover, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this is based off the Maniacs edition, but I always just refer to that one as like the Raito or the director's cut version. You drink again. I'm talking a lot. Hello, Mary. Enjoy your food. Whew. All right. Chugga, chugga, chugga. Spencer's more than a pal. I'm a pal with benefits. My man. All right, we're almost catching up, I say, as you guys keep posting a bunch, which I love. So, SMT V worldwide release. Who sold their soul to make that happen? Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the worldwide release because Mirth brings us up, and it's such a big point that not a lot of people have been talking about. SMT V releasing worldwide is not a Atlas being cool thing. I remember I was watching the Easy Allies reacting to it, and Damiani was like, "Oh, cool! Look, Atlas is taking more of a approach of like worldwide releases, similar to how Square Enix does." Not the case. I mean, just look at it. Like, we still have no idea when Scramble's even coming out. Scramble's not even been announced in the West still after all of these months. It's like the stupidest thing ever. But like, we have Ultimax HD. We have Nocturne HD already announced. We have an SMT V simul release announced. The simul release is all Nintendo money. Nintendo money is making that happen. And in reality, what this basically means is that probably either means that Treehouse is helping localize the game, which would not be too surprising because Sega and Atlas are just one localization studio. On top of the fact that they're probably holding back the Japanese release just so that they can make the worldwide release feasible. Which, obviously, I'm sure if you're a Japanese player, might be kind of frustrating. Like, in reality, assuming no delays happen, a summer 2021 release was probably, like an early summer release was probably going to be the case for Japan and late fall for the West. But if you hold everything together, especially for these story-heavy games, there's no loss really outside of people having to wait a little longer in Japan than they would maybe normally be used to. Hey, we got 30 people. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's just like it's more of a success. It obviously reduces the chance of spoilers heavily and makes just everyone happier. My biggest hope beyond hope is that someone at Atlas is going to just like get it knocked into their head with this, because this is their first big simultaneous release. Like the closest history we've ever had to this was SMT 4 released about less than 2 months in between Japanese and North America. I was going to say in the West, but remember Europe got totally screwed on SMT 4. Ozzy says, bring me on to the inevitable P5S spoiler discussion. Okay, yeah, so it's just going to be like 9,000 years from now at this rate. Andrew says, do you expect any quality of life changes? Oh, no, there's so many things. Into the Demon Fusion, I don't expect any system mechanic changes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they add in more like compendium assistance or like things to kind of help out. So like the fusion mechanic not getting any simplified, but maybe getting a little bit easier to understand. Timmy Tom says, how do you feel that SMT 5 got a release date before Scramble? Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, like I have Scramble, so I'm really biased in terms of like I've already played it, so it's like, oh yeah, well of course, give me the new game. I think this just keeps going to show. Atlas, the longer they wait for Scramble to be announced, the stupider they look. It's not even like me being me. It's like you look incompetent if you plan on releasing it after all. Like the strategy they're doing right now would only be acceptable if they weren't releasing it, which of course they're not. Like a great example, going back to how even though Koei Tecmo is a smaller and nicher company than Atlas USA, look at the new Atelier game that got announced. I think it's Atelier Ryza 2. That got announced same day in Japan and in America, even though they weren't the same Nintendo Direct. They were both announced on the same day. Why? Because they already know what's happening. Why hide it from your customers? So, like, what's the point of keeping it a secret? Ozzy says, oh, wait, hold on. I think I actually missed one. Yes, I did. Sorry. Darkrai 0XXX says, do you think there's going to be some twisty symbology with a V like Metal Gear in SMT 5? Sorry, Metal Gear Danganronpa. Possibly. Metal Gear and Danganronpa, though, are so known for subverting expectations with their names. I don't really think that would be the case for Atlas. I'd love to be proved wrong, but I can't think of the last time a story really like, whoa, like their stories are usually very, very well handled, but I can't think of an Atlas story where me playing through it, like my mind got like blown inside out. Ozzy says, how would you, or what would you expect to be the next Mega 10 remaster if they did this trend? So following this trend, it would be the DDS duology. Yes, I'm trying to think of the right word. Those games already have voice acting. They're already critically acclaimed. The Raito games are a little bit iffier because I know the gameplay is a lot love it or hate it more. But yeah, it's like the only thing up to Nocturne in terms of its quality and still has that cult status and reputation is Digital Devil Saga. Like those games are just so great. That'd be another one. Oh my god, if we ever got another game set in the world. Like seriously, if Atlas just announced they're doing Quantum Devil Saga as like a game, I would lose my shit way more than SMT 5. Austin Brown says, I could see a gameplay trailer being released around TGS. I have to keep I'm gonna neg it into existence. I'm gonna sound like such a fucking import nerd, but like it's such a thing of like just do not expect a lot of SMT 5 news. Expect a lot of Nocturne news, but TGS is not gonna be SMT 5 land. I'm sorry to break it to you guys. Derplord says, did you talk about the collector's edition? I talked about it, yes, but I didn't talk about what the West will have. I'm going to be real. The West will probably get a art book or steel book. I'm going to call it right now. I don't think Atlas West has the faith to release a Nocturne collector's edition. I'd love to be wrong, but I think that's about it in terms of what we're going to get, especially just because the game is still such a kind of risk in the Western market of like, is it going to be a profitable success? Brian, almost missed your comment. Brian says, would they add in an even harder mode for Nocturne? That's a really good point, because I think it's weird that they've only added in merciful mode and not merciless. So right now we have merciful, normal, hard, and I think like if they just did like merciless, even if there wasn't that big of a change, it would just seem weird that they only added an easy mode. Torin is saying, are you going to get the October release of Nocturne to play it early? Probably no, because at that point, new systems are going to be coming out, and I should already be saving up for other things. I mean, I'm already like pretty tight in my wallet in terms of things I'm buying right now. Unless there's something really crazy about the release, or like I'm feeling very, I don't know. Like if there was a lot of interest from you guys, maybe for me to stream it and check it out, I would be interested in importing it. But as it is right now, the only thing that would make me do it is you guys wanting me to cover the Japanese release, or me seeing a Steelbook pre-order go up, because we all know I'm a weak boy. If I see a Steelbook, gotta wrap it up. Yeah, drink it. Oh my god, I've been drinking it like 15 minutes. I think there's no cool way to drink out of a straw. I think if you drink out of a straw, you're just gonna look silly. Matthew North says, I think Sega pushed it. They have been, for Atlas and the Yakuza team releases, they've been getting closer to. Yeah, I mean, at least for 5, it's definitely like, honestly, if you're an Atlas fan, since the Sega buyer, their releasings have been like slower, but that's just because their teams merged and they're technically smaller now in terms of Atlas. What's up, VV? Thanks for joining us. Zio says, expecting something at the from Sega at Gamescom. I think Sega at Gamescom, it's tough. Sega at Gamescom primarily focuses on like their PC stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see English footage of Nocturne, or like Yakuza 7 footage, 13 Sentinels, stuff like that. Like, we still need to see 13 Sentinels voice acting. Like, we saw voice acting for Nocturne HD before 13 Sentinels, and 13 Sentinels got announced like a month ago. It's really, really weird. I think it just keeps going to show, the more that Atlas keeps doing and comparing it to 13 Sentinels, it's like, wow, you guys like just didn't have like the A team on this, clearly. Like, I'm sure the translation is going to be fine, but it's just like all these other games were able to get voice acting for trailers, but 13 Sentinels can't get anything even at launch. Vivi says, are you hoping for Dante or Rido? Rido for sure, just because I've never played Nocturne with him, and I love Rido so much as a character. Like, he's just so underrepresented, and at this point I would rather have Rido than DMC2 Dante. The only stipulant would be if they bring Dante into HD remastered, they actually get his voice actor to do DMC2 Dante's voice. Then that's the only chance I'd be like, okay, it was worth it now. Kooky Chris says, do you think we'll get an offer or promotion for buying SMT 5 Fire Emblem like that would? No, and that's just due to there being no club membership thing. That deal for the eShop, I'll never forget that. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, when SMT 4 came out, it was the same year that Fire Emblem Awakening released. So if you bought Awakening and SMT 4 and put in your Club Nintendo points for both, you got $30 in eShop credit, which was such an awesome deal. Black Star Devil Summoner is not coming back, but I think if people keep being loud enough the way people were about Nocturne, it wouldn't be impossible for a Devil Summoner 3. Timmy Tom says, do you think Devil Survivor has a chance of getting a re-release or a new game? I think in this current climate, with Atlas already having as many titles as they do, I think we're a little too busy for a new Devil Survivor, but never say never. I mean, if you asked me a week ago if Nocturne HD would be a thing within the next 12 months, I'd say you're insane. So clearly miracles can happen. Mirth says it all comes back to an article when Atlas said that they wanted to improve how soon the West gets information. It's getting very mixed messaging. Yeah, the whole thing, it's like, listen, the whole point of you unifying into Atlas West from Atlas USA has literally just been a marketing point. There's been no improvement on their global marketing structure at all. No, like you're not seeing fans sit around being like, "Wow, Atlas West is really better than Atlas USA." It's like, no, they're all the same. AM321 says, "Is it just me, or if you cut SMT 5 Protect's face in half, one half looks like Flynn and the other looks like Finboy Namek Saga Gohan?" You're the first person to not mention Nanashi, but I definitely get, yeah, it has the Gohan vibe for sure. Oh man, I'm totally gonna ruin your name. If Frim's Vanguard says, "Am I the only?" And I, oh boy, I'm having a hard time here. Am I the only one of the people in the SMT/MGS crossover who will get the reference in the title? Oh, yeah, I hope not. If you guys are watching this and don't understand the point of V has come to, I'll be very sad. I thought about that while driving today at work, and I was like, oh, that's a clever title. All right, so, ooh, I'm chugging my drink like way too much. All right. Darkrai brings up a great point. I was talking about this on Twitter of imagining the trophy list for Nocturne, and that's going to be such a brutal platinum. Like, unless they really make it like Baby's first platinum run, I could see them making a lot of different factors for, oh, hey, never die, or never have to reset in a boss fight. Just little things just being like really, really hard, especially because they've leaned into like how much of a meme Nocturne is known for in terms of being hard. Derplore, that'd be interesting if they added in a level 1 difficulty. Atlas very rarely kind of goes for those level 1 no XP runs, which I've always thought was interesting in terms of a concept, but I never found them personally satisfying to play through. Cookie Chris says, "Does anybody know how much the standard edition of Nocturne will cost?" In the West, it's going to be like 40 to 50. In Japan, it's around $50 right now. But I think they'd be smart enough to know that a just simple HD remaster, like this isn't a remake, this is just a remaster. $40 is already pushing it, and 50 is you're really pushing the Switch tax. Andrew says, "Do you think SMT 5 will be hindered by the Switch, or do you think that Atlas will be able to optimize the game like Square did with DQ11? That's a great question. I will say I'm a lot more optimistic now that I've seen a little bit more of what the game clearly looks like in engine, but we still haven't seen gameplay. Once we see gameplay, that'll be the real key. I mean, great example is to just look at something like Deadly Premonitions 2. Leading up to launch, it was like, oh, this looks great. The engine seems to be running really fine. Then as soon as we saw gameplay, it was like, oh, no. Obviously, though, SMT5 is running on Unreal Engine 4, whereas Deadly Premonitions runs on Unity, which, oh my god, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure because it's so cheap, but I would love to know why they decided to run it on Unity. That was definitely a choice by that team at Toybox. 481, talking about the review bombs for SMT, I feel like that's been a thing even before, and it's just user review scores. The more review bombs happen, the less I care about them, similar to with stuff like The Last of Us. Rexaw says Nocturne Merciless actually just adds 50 more stages of Puzzle Boy. That would be like, I could see them adding that in and someone being stubborn enough to do it. Derp Lord says, "Want to talk about the new that like to dislike ratio?" That's, yeah, it goes back to user things. It's like, it's Nintendo fans. Nintendo fans are mad because the casual Nintendo fan is having a bad year. Not everyone in the world, this is going to be very surprising, not everyone in the world looks at Tokyo Mirage Sessions and says, okay, Nintendo, pack it in. You did good. We're good. Wrap it up, guys. The Switch is saved. Exclusives are done. I mean, yeah, if you look at all the exclusives, it's just people are just mad because they want Nintendo games. They don't want games on the Switch that are like, they don't just want Nintendo Switch games. They want Nintendo exclusive games. Ephraim says, oh, my bad. I already got that. Zio says, what if a no buff / debuff run a trophy list in Nocturne? I'm going to say no, just because I've talked with Gnarly enough about that in terms of how not fun that would be. But you know what? I've been asked that enough, and I don't think he's actually had a chance to do it. We're just going to call Gnarly right now and see if he actually picks up. Oh, hey, Senor, thanks for subscribing to the channel. I'm like 20 minutes behind, but thanks for doing that. So yeah, should we give Gnarly a call and see his opinions on Nocturne HD? I'd actually be curious. I haven't talked to him at all outside of like Discord stuff. Let's find out. This may or may not just be an excuse for me to like take a vocal breath. Let's see if he picks up. I literally scrolled in as if I had him in my phone as Gnarly. That's embarrassing. Oh my god. I legit forgot his real name for a second. Nobody tell him. I think he's saving that for a new video. Too bad! Too bad. He's going to have to answer.
9-1.
Oh my god, dude. He hung up. Wow. All right. It happened live. Now everyone knows. You heard it. There was the 2 rings. He's too scared to talk about Nocturne anymore. Nocturne debuff run clearly hurt him. All right, so let's check out. Oh, we got a message from him. Almost done. He's in a podcast. All right, Gnarly's in a podcast. That's why he said home. I'll only forgive him if it's someone else's podcast. So we're gonna have to see what podcast this. I need to know. If it's someone else's, I'll allow it. If it's his own, then I'll be like, no, this is called synergy. You're supposed to make it happen. All right, so, oh god, yeah, Timmy, no, 100% compendium trophy. That'd be like, no, I'll never do it again. That sounds like those trophies turn me off in ways that I can't even put in. Internet, what's HPMP as a podcast? I've never heard of this. I'm really lost. I've never heard of this podcast. That's so odd. All right. Well, sorry for the dead air, but yeah, he may or may not call us later. We'll find out. All right. So, folks, as we're waiting to be ghosted by Gnarly over here, let's take a look at our stuff before we get back to Nocturne, because we've just been chatting all day. But that's fine. I love hearing all what you guys think and talk about it. Golden Playhouse says, I can't wait to play my 2 first SMT games that are not Persona in 2021. I mean, hey, 2021, even if it was just those 2 games, it's like, wow, what a great year. But yeah, there will clearly be something Persona related just because of the anniversary. Seems like it's Shadow Elite HD. Oh, I think I know who that is, and I'm not super sure. Okay, internet chat's telling me HPMP is a Shadow Elite thing, so we're clearly the cooler show because we didn't know about them and they knew about us. So that's okay. My ego can handle that. Timmy Tommy says, yeah, 2021 is going to be packed with SMT 5 and Nocturne in the 25th year of Persona. Mirth just says, why it says Master? It's been a day. Yeah, I heard about the review bombs for SMT a couple years ago. The origin behind that is probably just stupid stuff like people wanting the games on other platforms and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like Golden Playhouse says about like P5 fans just trying to do other stuff. Vivi says, did you see that someone fought Lucifer and Nocturne on hard with a magic build? No, I haven't actually seen that. I don't super seek out a lot of like challenge videos just because they're not always my super cup of tea, but I always think they're kind of interesting in terms of everything that's going on for it. While I'm checking this out, I'm actually kind of curious about this, guys. How do you guys feel about the fact that it is going to be called in the West Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne and not just Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne? I think it's an interesting choice for them going back to numbering it in the West. So let me see in terms of things that we have brought up in terms of new. So we have some voice casting for that we've already talked about. We've talked about the difficulty. Hold on. for those, I didn't realize this. Merciful difficulty is not in the game at launch. It's a downloadable difficulty, like how Merciless is in P5. That's really odd, because that's clearly just going to be in the game code. I don't know why they would choose to have that as DLC, but hey, whatever. This is really, really odd. Okay. So, yeah, going over other changes. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot outside of some screenshots, voice actor stuff, showing off other things. Oh, we do actually have a live stream coming up for Nocturne. Yeah, like I said, the marketing blitz for this is just going to be all over the place. So on July 23rd this week, Japan is going to have a release announcement celebration stream of them probably going to show off a little bit of gameplay. Yeah, not too much else for it. I was thinking there was actually more info for Nocturne than there really is, but it's only probably due to the fact that SMT V had a really cool trailer, but there's not actually that much info outside of the new characters and demons. So let's go back to the chat because I probably missed up. What's up, Khalil? What is up, Navi? Andrew says, so in Nocturne, you couldn't choose skills to inherit with Fusion. Do you think they'll change that? No, just because like going back to, I don't think they're really going to be adding in that many quality of life changes to the core gameplay. They're going to be keeping it pretty close to the chest. I feel like if they were making a lot of sweeping changes when they were showing off the trailer, it'd be very easy to say like rebalanced or like refined new stuff like that. Sorry, I have to keep checking my phone because I have it on Do Not Disturb, but I also would like to know if anyone's calling me. Khalil mentioning again, I think I said that the Merciful DLC is free, but if I did not, yes, that DLC is free. Golden Playhouse says, imagine that they remaster Persona 2, and they do, if they do that, the P5 fans will be triggered. Yeah, can we just take a moment and talk, by the way, about the people online who see these amazing announcements from Atlas, and their first reaction is just like, oh, no Persona on Switch? What? Yeah, like I literally just like saw people talking about it, and just like the entitlement, the tone, like some of it was so asinine. I legitimately had to do a double take of being like, are people like seriously this up their own ass? Like, I can't, like, I've still never met someone in person who only likes Persona and won't give SMT a try. Because I've loved even talking today about people being like, oh, I'm interested in trying Nocturne. I'm interested in SMT 5. It looks cool for a Switch exclusive. It's actually motivated me, assuming my move this week, which, by the way, this should be the last time you ever see this, assuming the move does not blow up in my face. But assuming I have some time before the move or after the move, I want to do a video kind of going over a little quick PSA video talking about what Nocturne coming out means if this is your first time, sort of like a primer of like, hey, here's what the game is, here's exactly what it was at the time, here's what we're going to be getting later with remastered, blah 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 blah. You need a drink again. It's like every 15 minutes I need a drink. I'm too thirsty. But then it gets so quiet. Oh my god. All right. Take a look. Ephraim says the new title for SMT 3 is awkward to say out loud, but I think in text it looks fine. Okay, yeah. Let's see what else we have. Just to be clear, no version of Nocturne has voice acting. Yes, to my knowledge, there was never any voice acting in the Japanese one, because that was even one of the big things they announced was the voice casting in Japan, and those were all current voice actings. Let me see. Mirth says the hashtag was cool and all, and people have made their voices known. Yes, so we're not a break-free Persona podcast in this, and I'm very, very proud about that. All right, I guess with that, let's actually jump into Khalil says, hopefully we get the Digital Devil Saga games and Raito games. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier of how there's, assuming Raito was an overwhelming success, there's nothing stopping these games from just blowing up completely. Sorry, the reply was getting me a little bit on my phone. All right, so let's talk about SMT 5. Shin Megami Tensei 5's trailer is like the perfect teaser trailer and the perfect revival trailer without showing a single second of gameplay. And I think the reason behind that is it still keeps a lot of things ambiguous while also still being very apparent in terms of its visuals improvement. I was talking to Mac earlier about this, and one of the things I thought was so interesting about SMT5 is how much more believable and better the game looks. Because in those teaser trailers, it's like there was no chance any of that was going to be representative of the gameplay outside of maybe a model or two, but nothing really felt like it was a real tangible game. Whereas like the cutscenes you're watching for this one, it's like, no, this doesn't feel like a CG trailer. Like this seems like the in-engine stuff you're going to be seeing for SMT5, which made me really, really excited because we haven't had a big budget SMT game on consoles since, God, I guess Devil Summoner 2, which even by those standards probably wouldn't even be that big budget at the time. So it just has me so excited about seeing them with a budget again, seeing them being more ambitious with the setting. I'm surprised how much they're kind of committing to the not post-apocalyptic look for the setting, but definitely making it feel like it's rooted in Japan, but not like you're just in another Tokyo, similar to how Nocturne is very visually distinct. Which, by the way, I do want to go back to Nocturne for a second because I don't think Nocturne Remastered is a fluke. I don't think they're just picking an easy port. I think they're very distinct in the reasoning of putting Nocturne before 5. And after watching both of those trailers so many times today, I'm over and over finding myself surprised of how inspired 5 seems to be from Nocturne, which I know the team over at Atlas has talked about many times how much they love Nocturne and how much that game is important to what defines SMT. I just think it's also really important in terms of like that game for the West is such a big deal as that was our first proper introduction to SMT as a mainline franchise. If you guys have thoughts on the trailer, I would love to hear what you guys thought about the teaser trailer. Was anyone mad? I haven't heard anyone talking about being mad about the gameplay, but I'd be curious what you guys think. All right, let's see. We have Golden Playhouse says, I hope we get a remastered version of Persona 3 Portable. Oh my god, that'd be so good. It like they don't even need to remake it like you're saying. If they just port it, I would. If they just ported it with trophies, I would eat up P3P. I would eat it up. Andrew says, do you think SMT5 will have a worldwide release? Oh, sorry. Do you think the worldwide release will help it out sales-wise? 100%. Having that big of a deal for a simul release is just huge. Like all the hype is swelled into like something at once. Trying to think of a good example for a game that does that. That was worldwide. Like look at any Final Fantasy. I was gonna say Kingdom Hearts 3, but it's not really fair because there was technically a couple of days in between releases and the leaked copies. Wow. Don't know where the burps came from. I'm drinking tea. There's not really anything in there. Golden Playhouse says, when you play Persona 3, my friend's bro Persona 3 sucks me. Look at his game. Oh, I'm sorry, Golden Playhouse. I can't English that. Rexaw says, I feel like the desert world design of 5 takes a lot of designs from Nocturne as well. So maybe we're getting another conception. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, like honestly, just like the more connections to past games, the better. Like that's one of my favorite things of like the differences and similarities between all of these worlds always get me the most excited. Dirtlord says, what happened to Mac? I don't know. Mac said he had to bail but I forget what his reason was. I said if he wants to come on next week, I'll be more than happy to talk about it with him. Khalil says we gotta wait till spring for Nocturne in Japan. Gets it in 3 months. Yeah, imagine though. Like I said, imagine if someone at Atlas was able to like snap their fingers and make Nocturne be worldwide. The reception of that would be perfect. Because assuming the November release for new consoles is the case, I will be much more excited to play Nocturne before the PS5 than after. Obviously, you can play Nocturne HD on your PS5 through backwards compatibility, but without those extra like changes or any taking advantage of, it's going to be like, okay, I'm playing a game 3 system generations behind this one, but obviously it's important we just have the game in general. Also, big ups to like all the people in the chat. I love that we actually have this many people. And if you guys are listening to this and are not subscribed, just hey, give it a subscribe. We're stupidly close to 1,000 after 9 million years. Let's see. Kooky Chris says, what mechanics would you like to appear in SMT5? That's tough because I've always been in the side camp of like, I don't love reusing mechanics. I like to see new battle systems show up. I've never played a game's battle mechanics where I'm like, okay, this was good. I want this for like everything. Or like, oh, I want to see this system make a return. I like when new battle systems come in. That's one of the main reasons I was so smitten with TMS when that finally came out. Of like, man, even if I didn't care for the story, the battle mechanics in TMS alone was so fun. Oh my gosh. All right. AM says SMT5 Pro Tag also reminds me of Azul at the end of Avatar. That's true because oh my god, yeah. That character's haircut is something else. Mara says the worldwide release of Three Houses is what caused me to buy it. The hype made me curious. Yeah, another great example. RPGs with worldwide releases have nothing to gain but success from that sales wise. Golden Playhouse says I think SMT5 is probably the P5 killer. P5 killer, no, but I think possibly the Persona 5 of the franchise in terms of hype and it being jettisoned into the mainstream more than it ever has before, which obviously for SMT, it's such a low bar already. Like seeing a lot of mainstream games journalists or press talking about SMT news today has been so funny of like I literally heard somebody say, I think it was Tim from Kinda Funny. I think it was like, I know SMT5 is a big deal, but I don't know anyone who's excited for it. Like, blew my mind because, I mean, for like the mainstream press, the unfortunate truth is this: SMT, even though it started Persona, is the weird cousin of Persona. It's not the other way around, obviously, as it should be. Whoa, he's killing me. Let's put it down. Like, actually dying here. Woo! Oh my god. Yeah, I should have muted those coughs, but you ever get like those coughs where you're like, oh, you're crying? This is crying coughs. Ooh, my SMT is so real. I'm gonna die mid-podcast, just live stream. Just live stream whistle like that. Oh my god. Okay, not dying here. Let's see. Andrew says, I think the desert world is the vision of the protagonist is having. Yeah, that's also another very good show, especially with just how kind of crazy and vision-y looking it all was, especially with Lucifer and whatnot. Kuka Chris, I am okay. My tea just decided to drink up the wrong way. I'm just glad I didn't like projection spray it everywhere. Timmy Tom says, do you think the game will sell 1 million copies or more? I assume you're talking about SMT5. I'll say this. I think SMT5 is guaranteed at least 1 million. With its exclusivity, assuming it releases in a good time frame and the game shows well, I think it's an easy guaranteed million seller. As long as it gets any form of marketing push by Nintendo, that seems like a really, really safe bet. On the other side of things, for Nocturne, I think we'd be lucky if Nocturne sells 200,000 to 300,000 copies, but that might be a little generous, depending on the release timing in the West, especially. Drupalert says it's funny because I decided to finally dip my toe into SMT games outside of Persona by playing Devil Survivor 1, and I'm loving it so far. Oh yeah, I've actually seen you've been playing DS1. Yeah, that is those games hold up so well. They're so fun. So now I'm planning on playing Raito, Digital Devil Saga, and Nocturne on PS3. Well, obviously, I would say don't play Nocturne on PS3, but DDS, go for it for sure. Raito, I will say this. Play 1 before you buy 2. Like, don't feel like you need to buy both back to back just because like I said, I love the gameplay from Raito, but it's such a departure that I know a lot of people are very much more so divided on the gameplay of Raito, even though the world and the music and even the visuals are such a step up from all the other PS2 games. Golden Playhouse, do you think they should bring back Hold on. Do you think they should bring back on the Persona? I'm going to do this one in a second. Hold on. We have a special guest calling in. Okay, so you're on the podcast live, Mr. Gnarly. I have a very important question for you because I've not asked you this. How do you feel if there is a no buff and debuff trophy in Nocturne HD? Do you want this, or should we say burn it with fire?
I mean, I'd like it, but that'd also mean I'd have to grind all the way up to level 255 without cheats.
Yeah, I know. That's like because that's why I wanted to call you, because I know you're a big cheater pumpkin eater, and I was like, would you be committed enough to earn this platinum? Because I know normally you never care about trophies at all to begin with.
Probably not.
Okay, so you're sitting in the marketing room. You get to choose one trophy, anything you want. What is the trophy you put into Nocturne, and what do you call it?
That's kind of a tough one. I'd say maybe make a no fusion trophy.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, people were talking in the chat about do we think fusions are going to be made any easier? And I don't know how you feel. I feel like this is such a no frills remaster that like the best we're going to get is just like maybe some extra clarifications. I can't imagine them making any part of this game outside of merciful difficulty any easier.
I mean, I think they're going to make it so that you can select which skills you inherit.
See, it goes into that of like, I think as soon as you start doing something like that, you immediately then go, well, why didn't you start talking about that for marketing? Because I feel like if you're making changes like that, it's only beneficial to just say it for you. But I would love to be wrong. Like stuff like that to make it feel different to play would be awesome. I just don't have the faith that they're doing that, because I definitely view them as like, okay, we needed to put something out before SMT 5. What would make people get excited without us actually having to spend money? Because like if you look at Nocturne HD, the most effort that went into it was the voice acting. Everything else was super cheap to do.
Yeah.
All right, so
the new graphics look pretty nice.
They do, but like even though they're retextured, they're not anything more crazy than, let's say, like those like PS3 HD collections we saw. You know?
Yeah.
So I'll let you go so that I'm not keeping you for too long, because I know you're probably up to your nuts with Nocturne talks. But I'll at least say this, because I don't think I saw your reaction to it, just because I've been driving in the thunderstorm that is Kansas today. What was your initial reaction to it, and how are you feeling right now with Nocturne? Like where's your current hype check at? So not 5, just Nocturne.
I mean, like, if I didn't just beat the game, I'd probably be a little more excited for it. Like, I'm excited that this re-release is happening, but unless they add a whole bunch of new stuff, I'm probably not gonna play it on release.
Have you noticed that every time you beat an Atlas game, they release it on another platform?
Yes. I just, like, right before they announced Persona 4 Golden for PC, I just finished Izanagi only on the Vita.
Is there any chance you could beat Mach and Xiao for me? I'd really love just like a Switch port with motion controls for Mach and Xiao.
Mockin' Shao or Mockin' A?
No, Mach and Shao. I'm not. I don't feel like importing a European copy. I'd like to have an English version in America.
Yeah, I might play it.
It's oh my god. All right. Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate your Nocturne knowledge for it. By the way, just because I never heard of it before, and I had anything for it, your podcast you were on, was it about SMT 5 and Nocturne? I'm assuming.
We talked about SMT 5 a lot.
Okay. I think
I'm gonna have to put like it when I upload. I was planning to upload it this morning, but then SMT 5 happened, and I'm like, okay, I should probably wait till tomorrow because I'm gonna have to put like a disclaimer in the video, like this was recorded before the SMT 5 trailer was shown.
Yeah, we're living now in a new timeline of pre SMT 5 news and now post SMT 5 news. How long do you think until people complain again about when we're gonna hear news?
I'd say if there's no news at Tokyo Game Show, then I'd say people are going to start complaining.
I've been telling everybody in the chat. The live chat keeps going, oh, we're going to see stuff at TGS. We're going to see stuff at TGS. Dude, TGS is going to be Nocturne or bust. Because, like, think about it. It's 1 month before Japan. There's no reason to show SMT 5. And Nintendo never touches TGS with the 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for calling me back. I cannot believe I stole you for 5 minutes. But, hey, fun fact, you almost missed me choking to death on the live stream, so that would have been fun.
Awesome.
All right, man, have a good night.
All right, see ya.
All right, special guest, Nyar called in, so that was fun. Hopefully you guys could hear him okay. Let's see. Do you think that Persona and Devil Survivor or SMT 5 will have the overabundance of waifus? SMTs never really dabbled into like anime waifu talk. Outside of maybe like Apocalypse kind of rid the line there. I never felt it was egregious, but I know some people did. Devil Survivor, yeah, and Persona are definitely like, yeah, they're very marketable anime in that type of way. But I feel like for classic SMT, that's still kind of not their cup of tea. Khalil says, I love all the SMT hype, but we still need a date for Scramble. No, Khalil, we don't need a date for Scramble. We need Scramble to be announced. Like, everyone's like, where's the Scramble trailer? Where's the Scramble release date? When's the announcement? Because like they can't just be like, oh, hey, guys, it's coming. Like, you guys have to announce it first. That's the craziest thing. Oh, Darkrai brings the best way. The waifus were the demons all along. That's so true. That's so true. Golden Playhouse, I have a funny story for you about Saint Seiya, otherwise known as Knights of the Zodiac in the West. I started that show, I think it was a Toonami thing in the early 2000s. And the English dub was a cover of Flock of Seagulls, I Ran So Far Away. So let's see. I got into the series from Toonami because I liked the opening. That also got me into Flock of Seagulls because my dad was super into New Wave from the 80s. So I then got into Flock of Seagulls and got all of their music, which really isn't that much. They were like a one-hit wonder band. But no, I love Knights of the Zodiac. I have a couple issues of the manga volume, but I never finished it, unfortunately. But it is one of those things I hold that up as my like nostalgia thing for it, just because I really liked it. Rexaw says, "Did you see the SMT 5 subtitle is The Time of Genesis?" I saw that going around. I wouldn't hold that to 100% like it's gonna have a subtitle, just because I feel like SMT games are still so known for, outside of Nocturne, just being like SMT blank, SMT blah. And at this point, I feel like in the West, if they were going to have a subtitle and they had it in Japan, there's no reason they wouldn't have said it in this trailer. Andrew says Spencer will single-handedly will SMT5. That's true. If it happens, I will gladly take the piss for it. Like, I will keep saying no SMT5 at TGS, no SMT5 at TGS. Because the more I say it, the more likely it is to happen. Much like with SMT news today. Let me see. I think that is about it. Sorry. Ethereum says, I want Spencer's opinion about SMT5 getting a Western release before Scramble. At least in terms of the announcement and the trailers, it goes into a couple things. I think Nintendo is being really smart about when they choose to show this game and when they haven't. Obviously, they showed off SMT V way too early, but we've been over that before. That was just a marketing tactic. And Atlas West is the only one to blame for Scramble. Like, Atlas West is just holding on to it for too long for no real reason, and people are just getting antsy, and if they're not getting antsy, they're just getting kind of fed up. JJC Review says, random thought, do you think that they'll bring Demi-Fiend to Smash to hype it up? Demi-Fiend in Smash would be, like, I love Demi-Fiend. He seems like assist trophy material. Not because I don't think he would be a good fighter, but because I don't think that they would give him a full-on spot in the DLC because they've already represented Atlas with Joker. I'd love to be proven wrong, and, like, the ultimate, like, if you had to have SMT representation, get new protagonist. New protagonist would be perfect because, like, people already really like his design. I think just like he's just got big because of his dorky haircut. He's such a unique kind of look to him. Even though Demi-Fiend has the nostalgia pull, it's sort of like with the Fire Emblem thing of like, well, there's a reason Byleth's in Smash, even though Byleth was DLC. It's like, well, obviously it's the new character from the new game. Golden Playhouse. Let's see. Are you ready for Dragon Quest: The Adventure? Oh yes. Yeah, I'm ready. I've never seen the anime it's based off of, but I mean, I love all things Dragon Quest. So assuming it comes to the West, I'll definitely check it out. He also says, I think P5 Scramble needs to come because it's good and it's a sequel. I mean, it's like on paper, Persona 5 Scramble is like the stupidest thing to not announce. It's a sequel to your most successful game of all time, and they have it on multiple platforms that everyone loves. So yeah, really, really weird. I'll say this. I mentioned this earlier in the chat just because it's so outlandish. I could see it happening. I will say, pay attention to the Xbox showcase this week. I would not be surprised if, after all the delays and announcements, that Persona 5 Scramble gets announced and shown off at the Xbox Series X showcase, because Xbox has been trying to get a lot more Japanese games on their side, and I think if they announced something like the sequel to Persona 5 exclusively at an Xbox show, obviously the game wouldn't be exclusive, but like that would be a really, really big pull. At the very least, just for the love of God, put like SMT 9 DLC in there or something. Timmy Tom says Matthew Mercer is like a third of the male voice actors in Nocturne, which I would be very, very fine with. Let's start going into questions from everybody else. So if you guys have questions, start putting them in the chat now. I'm going to chug the last little bit of this and pull the questions from online. Holy moly, no choking. Not in this show, please. All right, let's go to Discord first. So our Discord questions are... Oh, you guys had more questions than I thought here. Matt the Wob says, are you expecting any other changes or additions besides voice acting in the new Merciful mode? And if so, what? No, as I mentioned earlier, I think because this isn't like a new subtitle, it is very much just Nocturne HD Remaster. They're going to be keeping it pretty safe. Immortal Slasher says, is the Nocturne live stream going to be next week's topic? I think so. I think it's safe to say that they're probably going to show off gameplay, so we'll have a lot more stuff to talk about in terms of performance. I would love it if they show both versions of the game running. I would be surprised, though, just because unless they're super, super up to parity, it'd be very, very... basically, they have nothing to gain if they don't both run the same. So, like, you have the risk of making people kind of disappointed. K-Dog says, what do you think Atlas will bring to the Switch next? They've already got a really stacked list in front of them, but assuming we're talking about Japan, I would say something for the Persona anniversary next year is probably a safe bet for coming on the Switch. Yowie Church says, I'd like to see DDS 1 and 2 next after Nocturne. I don't think they'd be too difficult when they're already doing Nocturne. What do you actually think they'll do? I also say DDS just because I love that duology. Also, what is the most obscure Japanese exclusive game that no one cares about from 30 years ago? Maybe SMT if, and they won't translate it. Yeah, man. I think about if still not being translated so much just because it's such a head scratcher, and it just always boggles my mind why they don't do it. Just because even if they just did a stupid mobile port, it would shut so many of us up. Final one here. Mortal Slasher says, do you think your theory about them using the scramble demon models in SP5 will come true? No, I'll actually say this. I was very impressed at that trailer for having so many demons we've not seen in previous games like that. And that made me really excited, like seeing the new forms of Imp, as well as like the classic Angel designs and the design from Nocturne with Lucifer. I thought that was really, really cool. So I'd love to be wrong, but obviously we haven't seen any demons from Scramble that are now in the current engine, so it's all kind of wait and see. Let's go to Facebook. Let's see what Facebook questions we have. By the way, everyone listening live, just because you had to put up with me basically choking, coughing, and all this other stuff, we're going to end the stream once the show's done by opening up our mystery package from Limited Run Games. So maybe stream luck will make me have something super hype in there. All right, so from the Facebook group. Oh, we actually have more questions than I thought we would. Stephen Yip says, what pricing for the SMT 3 remaster do you think we get? 30, 40, or 50? Obviously, I'm leaning more towards 40, but I could see them being cheapskates and doing 50. 30 or high. 30 is amazing. Obviously, it has the whole 3 thing on there, but yeah, there's no way we're getting that. Possibilities of getting a limited edition, 0 or 1%. I'll give you 1%, just because you never know. Atlas are sneaky. They're sneaky dogs. They could throw in a 3-disc soundtrack. Sorry, they could throw in a 3-track soundtrack and think they called it a day. Damien says, in the new trailer, we don't see the female character. Do you think that the male character in the teaser in 2017... Sorry, he says, we don't see the female character that was with the main character in the teaser from 2017. Do you think that she may still play a part in the story, or do you think Atlas got rid of her? I don't think that Atlas got rid of her. My current theory is that the protagonist we saw is basically able to be a male or a female. I don't think there are 2 different characters. I think whatever... Oh, God, we have to think of a good, like... Because with all great teased Atlas games, you have to think of a dumb Japanese name before he has a real name. So for the longest time... Persona 5, people always called Joker Glasses Coon or Harry Coon, like Harry Potter, because he kind of had that Harry Potter look. I'm gonna be real. I'm just gonna be calling SMT5 Protag Bad Haircut Day. Like, Bad Haircut Day could be either male or female so easy without changing anything outside of the school outfit. See, Z brings up a really good point of hoping that we can at least survive long enough for 2021 to actually get here. And final question from Facebook, another one from Damien says, do you think the addition of voice acting in Nocturne and the actresses may take some of the atmosphere away from Nocturne? That's a really good point, because one of the most important things about Nocturne, even though it didn't have voice acting, is it was intentionally so. Like, you could tell... It wasn't like, oh, we don't have the budget for voice acting. It was designed without voice acting for a reason. So I think, now we obviously don't know this all to be certain, I think major sequences are going to be voiced. I think a lot of the game is still going to be voiceless. I don't think we're going to have full voice acting for demons. I don't think we're going to have all the NPCs in the world talking. I think if it's a major cutscene, we're going to have voice acting, but I don't think it's going to be like full on everything voiced. All right, and final. Oh my God. All right, so wow, why? Okay, I apparently had like voice recording going on when something happened, so I just had a massive spam text to somebody. Okay, here's our mystery phone caller. Sorry, I'm just really taken aback by something. All right, let's go see what Twitter has to say. Hopefully, we're not inundated with too many questions. I mean, I love getting a lot of questions, but we are getting a little long in the tooth. Even though I would love to talk about this for like 9 hours. All right, we have 3 questions. I can handle 3, and whatever YouTube chat has to say. Adel says, "What do you think?" Sorry, he says, who do you think Iron Man is? New redesign, new character? Also, do you think that the handshake is a pact sort of thing, or a fuse and merge / transformation with Flower Coon? Oh god, I hope it's not Flower Coon. Not like Bad Haircut Day is any better, but yeah, Flower Coon is like, come on, it's like he's just wearing that. Going back to my original theory, I think whoever is in that shadowy Iron Man figure, as you were calling it, I think that they're probably going to represent some sort of partner in the story, similar to a Dagda from Apocalypse. So I don't know how integral they're really going to be to the story. I could see them being a really big deal, or sort of a more supplementary character, or it could even just be like a tease to the main villain, because there was a lot of apprehension before the handshake. So still a little too early to tell. Final question, because I forgot Fansite's question was already asked earlier with Raito or Dante. Comes from says, when do you expect out SMT 5 gameplay? It's tough because this year has been such a weird one with like what has and hasn't shown up. I think realistically we could get footage by the end of the year, but at the earliest we're definitely going to get it before Nocturne releases in the West. Just because I think that's the most smart, because the game will have already been out in Asia and they'll be hungry for new stuff and will be a good jumping off point from a lot of other marketing stuff. All right, chitty chat. What do we got before we end this episode? You guys asked a lot more questions than I thought you would. I appreciate it. Cookie Chris, I do not think we're going to be getting a multi-language dub for SMT5, just because current state of the world, on top of how expensive that is. I would love it if we at least got like Spanish dub, but it's still such a miracle that we get English along with Japanese that we're not really in a space to expect, let alone hope, for multi-language dubs. Darkrai says, SMT9 remaster when? These are the questions we need answered, everybody. Just keep tweeting at Phil Spencer just every day. Just tweet at him and be like, excuse me, Big Philly style, can the other Spencer is asking for SMT9 remastered, please. Even if it's an Xbox exclusive, I would scream and buy an Xbox immediately for it, just because I want to play that game so bad legally. Mirth says, do you think they could actually bring Scramble to Xbox? Oh, 100%. Yeah, Koei Tecmo could bring Scramble to Xbox and PC like with the snap of their fingers. Their engine is ready for it. They port their games to Xbox and PC for the West all the time. Golden Playhouse S2 question says, we still need a Crisis Core remastered. Can we all agree? Nomura is straight up said. He said no, like there's no point in remastering Crisis Core because of how different the world in a remake is. And I think if you play all of Remake, it makes sense, even though because of the things that change, it makes people want to go back to it, but it's kind of like a self-eating snake at that point. Golden's actual question, though, says, is it good to pre-order Persona much like the figures or statues? I think for Japanese collector stuff, yes, you want to go for pre-orders just so you can secure that. In the West, not really. Like, you're not... The last time something was, like, super hard to come by was the Solid Gold Premium Edition for P4G, so it's not that surprising. I did not bring enough to drink. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. All right, guys. We're cutting off questions. You guys are spamming me here. But I love y'all. Khalil, do you think Scramble is this year for the West? Yeah, I'm willing it into existence. I will not let Atlas not release this game in 2020 because they have no excuse not to. They're actually going... Like, I'll say this right now on the record. I'm looking into the camera. Atlas West, if you don't release Persona 5 Scramble in the West without a good excuse, like obviously if they announce it with like some crazy expansion and they're just waiting for the Extreme Edition, sure. But if this is just vanilla ass P5S, I will fly down to your California office and I will make you tell me why. I will make someone look me in the eye and tell me why with my own money. I can make that happen. I can guarantee that promise. Let's see. Rex says, if we get a new SMT spinoff series, what gameplay genre would you like? It's tough because it kind of goes back to gameplay in terms of I don't like predicting what I would like to see. I like to be surprised more than anything, but I'll pick a weird one just because I know people wouldn't like it. I would love a SMT rhythm game. I just love the music of the series so much. It would be very tonally weird, I'm sure, but even if it was just something like a Theat rhythm, I would eat it up. Golden also says, is it oh, my bad. Ephemerate says, it could be a 3-disc soundtrack similar to we're talking with the pre-order bonuses. Could be, yes, but the West has never been known for getting good soundtracks with their collector's editions. It's just sadly the truth. Oh my god, I forgot about Chercoon. Oh yeah, that takes me back. Oh, I forgot about Chercoon when all we knew was his face in the chair. Oh, those are the days. Remember we had no idea what the hell Persona... Remember when we thought Persona 5 was going to talk about slavery? Oh my god, what young, naive boy and girls we were. Mirth says, gonna go with Flower Boy myself because of the outfit. Golden says, because he's getting greedy, him or he or her, I don't actually know. It's okay. I'll call you whatever you want, Golden Playhouse. Question, do you think Persona 1 and 2 Remastered would be good on Switch, PS4, and Steam? Obviously, yeah. They don't even need to remaster them. Just throw them on there for like $20 a piece. We'll eat them up. Andrew says, do you have any thoughts about the art or music? Looks like Doi and the composer from SMT4. Yeah, so that's currently confirmed, I think, and you can tell, especially with Flower Boy's face in particular, like those eyes just scream Doi. I have always liked his art style. I think it's not as complimentary to Kaneko's older stuff as you can kind of tell, like when he drew Demi-Fiend and the rest of the SMT cast. But I think when he's working within his own vision and whatnot with 4, and now we're seeing with 5, I think it looks really, really good. Kooky Chris, thanks for joining. We're about to wrap up anyway, so don't worry. Break Free 9. Break Free 9 just is, that's too vague. Someone wouldn't know we're talking about SMT 9, but at the same time, no one would care if they did know. Derp Lord says, stop lying, you want SMT Arena by Arc System Works. I really don't. Like, a fighting game would be awesome and I'd play it all, but like that's not something I want. There's so many fighting games. Let us see. Brian says, I want an SMT X Persona fighting game. That would be more interesting. If it's like not even just those two, like if it's a Atlas fighting game, that one has a lot more potential, especially with joke characters like The Amazing Tater, Friday the 13th. God, you could try and get the rights to Cubivore, Trauma Center, just like anything really weird. Like you could have a lot of fun with that. Oh, you are slave, want emancipation. God, yeah, it's making me feel too old now. Golden Playhouse, we're going to wrap it up on your last little comment. It says, I think SMT old games look good on Switch and PS4. That is because those games hold up, much like a lot of other Atlas games. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in live. Thank you for listening, whether it be live or pre-recorded or blah, 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 blah. Thank you for watching me. I'm assuming my voice just continues to get more and more raspy as this hour and a half went by, but I love talking about this with you guys. I've just been so giddy all day. I've been so excited to think about the future. Just like think about Nocturne HD, what that means for re-releases, thinking about SMT 5 speculations again. Like we haven't even gotten into what we think the teaser trailers might be. Obviously, it's a whole lot more nebulous than everything, but all that stuff is always just makes me so happy to not only talk about with all of you, but see what you guys think, see what you guys want to see have happen and whatnot. Just because I haven't seen this person talk for the majority of the sec. Zeki Red says, I know Raito games are kind of action, but action-like, similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake and 15, which is a very good point. But yeah, so thank you guys for listening to the show. If you enjoyed this podcast, I do it every week. Is posted on our RSS feed as well as the YouTube channel. So if you would like to subscribe to either of those, all the show notes below will eventually tell you where you can find everything. You can search us on YouTube by finding just search Shin Megami Tensei Network, or you can search Spencer Presley. Don't know why I stopped at my own name and not the podcast. It's been a day, guys, and I have to move later, so clearly it's going to be a recipe for success. If you guys would like, you can follow me on Twitter at Torchwood4SP. You can also follow the podcast at Shin Megami Tensei Network. Nope, it is at SMT Network. Besides that, join the Facebook page by going to facebook.com/SMT Network, or the Facebook group by going to facebook.com/group/SMT Network. Besides that, join the Discord. That'll be in the links below. And yeah, just be excited, be hyped, be open-minded if you are not an SMT fan and are wanting to jump in. Just it's a great time for the series. It's a great time to learn more about the series, learn more about the history of the series, and just learn more about what the future holds in terms of stuff like SMT 5 and even other spin-off titles. So who really knows? But either way, thank you guys so much for listening. I have been your host, Spencer Presley. Have a good one, and I will see you later either online or in the mysterious sandy deserts of Tokyo in the year 2021. Bye, everybody. Everybody have fun tonight. Good luck with moving. I better be careful. If I'm not, I'm gonna be a goof. Here, even though I've been talking about how thirsty I am, I'm going to be eating a sour gummy because I hate myself. So, guys, you remember, we have a mystery package. Does anyone have any guesses of what I've gotten in the mail from Limited Run Games? I'll give you a hint. I ordered this back in February, and it is a PlayStation 4 game. I'll see if anyone in the chat can wait. Start opening it, though. Did not think we'd go for like an hour and a half. I was thinking we'd be lucky to push an hour. So I'm glad we went nice and long. All right. We are opening. Assuming I have any nails. Sayonara! No, that's an IM 8-bit game. I would have gotten that at Best Buy anyway. I need to import the Geki Bunko. Forgotten Anne. No, I did not. It's a newsletter. I was like, what is this heavier thing in here? Here's the Limited Run Games newsletter, which I now have multiple of. Let's see if we can get the card first. Oh, gross. It's the new card design. Let's see if we can check that out. Number 7 we have by Swery. Speaking of Deadly Premonitions earlier, The Missing. Let's go check this bad boy out. Haha. Boop. Man, that is a really pretty cover. So I know nothing about The Missing other than Swery made it. It is a ARC published game, has really good art, and has a really interesting story that I thankfully have not been spoiled on. So let's go open this up. I don't think there's a manual, even though this game was $40, but hey, at least I resisted buying the collector's edition. This is when I was still buying a lot more. Another copy of Papers, Please. It should be, but no. My copies of Papers, Please is right there. If you guys want to look at things selling for a horrifying amount of money, you should look at how much Papers, Please and Super Meat Boy go for on eBay. The last copy of Super Meat Boy sold for, I think, about $175, and Papers, Please sold for like $270. Kind of crazy, but those games are really, really good, and there's only a tiny, tiny amount of copies out and about. Yeah, I super, super dig this. The back's a little text heavy for my like, but the front cover is very, very nice and clean. Not that like my, I was gonna say not like this really does much of a service to it. Interesting choice for the outside art. I guess actually the inside art. So we have black text, and Mystery Moose Man, who says, please wake up. I'm sure that will be relevant later. Oh, it actually does have a manual. That's actually kind of a nice surprise. Let's take a look what the manual does. I am so desperate for another drink. You guys have no idea. Boop. Okay. All right. This is how you know we're in business. Check out Mr. Donut. All right. So our manual shows off the characters. Shows off the age. I'm not going to read too heavy, but... Oh, it's literally... Is it just those 6 characters? No, it's not even 6. It's just 4 characters and a notes section. But considering considering what some other games do, that's still a pretty good manual, even by their standards. So, hey, at least if you have a copy, you got to support our good boy Squarey. Squarey. But yeah, thank you guys again. Hopefully you guys had fun watching the show live. Sorry again for the sporadic nature of everything, but yeah, life is weird. Moving is going to be an adventure, I'm sure, but I'm excited to do new episodes of the podcast in my new apartment, so that'll be fun. Plus, you guys will no longer have to see stacks and stacks of boxes and more lovely, lovely shelves and more stacks of boxes. But yeah, either way, guys, thank you again for watching live. Have a good rest of your night and go have some fun. See ya.
Bah.